What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is, and welcome back to yet another video with you, man. Immersion-holic, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the divided Impera of Ormond for Total War Rome 2. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have an epic Mauryan rush. That's right, the Indians are here. Well, actually, in fact, they're more so in India, as we are facing off in the defense of India against Macedon. That's right, the armies of Alexander await us way off in the distance, somewhere over there probably, and are played by my good friend Toxborg. Link to his channel will be in the description. You guys will hopefully have seen a recent online battle between me and him in Rome versus Carthage, where we had the settings set to basically borderline infinite money and 40 versus 40 units. The biggest difference between that online battle and this one, though, is that we removed all veterancy from our units. So they're just all raw recruits. None of them have any experience, although we still do have elite units. For example, I have three units of these elephants right here, the Mauryan Royal Bodyguard elephants. So I was a little spammy, perhaps, with the elephants. But this is after we got destroyed as Rome, and so we're going to see if our rush-style build can actually work out in a 40 versus 40 unit battle. It's going to be big, might be a little bit of lag even, so I do apologize in advance, but such is the way in the Total War Rome 2 engine when you have so many units going on. So let's go over the Mauryan army composition, and then we'll go over the Macedonian one, where we actually have eyes on it. It might take us a couple minutes. I'm going to skip ahead though after we check out my army. So let's do it. Let's see what India has to offer. So starting off in the far left hand side of our formation, we have a small detachment that we'll be using to go up the actual center of the map, because as you can see on the mini-map, this is a pretty friggin' big map. This is using the larger battlefield and deployment submod. Our army is almost entirely on the right hand side, and we have this small contingent in the center. So this center consists of 2 units of Indo-Hellenic Thurio spears, and then we also have Indo-Iranian heavy cavalry. Very good cav. I don't really have a lot of experience playing as the Mauryan, so definitely going to be learning a fair bit as I watch this battle. Even though I played it, I know the outcome, obviously. But yeah, I'm still not really used to the units. It's been quite a while since I did my faction overview for Mauryans. So I'm not sure. I don't think anything has changed for them in the last few updates, but it's going to be interesting to see how things go. However, getting to the main section of our primary army composition, we have a lot of different things going on. As I said, we do have the 3 sets of the Indian Royal Bodyguard elephants that will be on the right-hand flank, and they are on the far right-hand side of the whole map. So basically, that line goes up to the battlefield deployment zone. So we're definitely not hugging it, but we are positioned on the right-hand side of our deployment zone. And that is because I want my entire army to be able to use this forest right here. We are doing an Indian rush build, so it's really, really important that I keep the majority of my army as hidden as possible for as long as possible. So we can kind of close the distance against the Macedonians and not get drawn out into a skirmish fight or something. So we're going to come up through this forest, and then when appropriate, depending on wherever he is, we will come out of the brush and hopefully get a good big solid rush against his forces. So we've seen the left, we've seen the right. Let's go towards the actual center of the army. We have a little bit of a mix-up, and in fact we're going to start playing this in slow motion so you guys can see what's going on, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines full of units, and our general in the rear, who's a Mauryan bodyguard cav unit. But our first line, you can see, is actually mixed, because we have cavalry moving forward. They will not participate in the rush necessarily. These are our Indo-Hellenic cavalry. Very amazing looking unit. It's just absolutely gorgeous. One of the best looking rosters in the game for sure. Very exotic looking. A lot of colors are involved in the Mauryan roster. A lot of purples, golds, greens, all that. But these cavalry units, these 4 right here, are going to be our skirmisher and kind of scout cavalry. They do have 120 men in each set as well, which is really important. Gives us a big advantage. And they're just really fantastic, solid cav. I would probably class them as high tier because they have really good armor, great stats across the board. They are going to advance in front of our army. However, for the first line of actual melee troops, we have Mauryan axemen. And that is our entire line, as you can see. As we move forward, let's even actually go ahead and put these guys into a march in real time. It's just an entire line of Mauryan axemen, 300 men per unit. These guys are extremely cheap, very, very strong with their melee attack, but they have literally 0 armor, which is a big reason why I wanted to avoid doing any kind of skirmishing at all. And in the second line, we have another very aggressive unit, which is the Mauryan heavy swordsman, and I think that's our entire... Is that our entire line right here? Or did we split it up? Let me pause this really quickly just to make sure. We might have split it down the middle. Mauryan heavy swordsman on the right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of that. On the left hand side we have Indian heavy swordsman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is basically a heavy swordsman line. There's just a minor difference in the units, which is basically the Mauryans are slower, but they have 5 more armor, whereas the Indian heavy swordsman unit is only at 25 armor. It's kind of interesting, considering that they're both, I guess, technically Mauryan. But anyway, we'll just pretend that the Indian heavy swordsmen are like allies of the Mauryans. And then, as the army continues advancing, we have another line of troops coming in. These are the Mauryan warrior guildsmen. Actually, let's get a slow motion shot of these bad boys. We have the guildsmen coming forth, one of the best shock infantry units in the game, of course. This is them in the center with their very long double-handed swords. Forget the name of that. I always forget the name of it, but I usually have 1 or 2 people who comment and tell me, so I do appreciate that. But like I said, I don't really play as the Mauryans much, so it's very easy for me to forget. However, these bad boys in the rear, our final line of troops, in addition to our general, is of course the Mauryan elite macemen. Absolutely amazing unit. Basically tied for being the best shock infantry unit in the game. In my opinion, it's the best, but it depends if you prefer damage or higher melee attack. I love these guys. They're amazing. Really, really good shock troops. So you see in my entire army now, you can see it is quite shock based. I mean, it is a rush build, so a lot of our infantry are going to be high damage, high attack. We unfortunately still cannot see the Macedonian army, despite me sending forward some cavalry units to do some scouting. But we do see some of their cav scouting. 4 units over here, and they are all the Royal Squadron units. But we don't see any more of the Macedonian army, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, just while our army continues marching up, and then I'll start playing once we can see the Macedonian army. Okay, everybody, unfortunately we cannot see the full Macedonian army, as some of their troops are hidden in the forest. But I thought I'd put this in slow motion now so we could just kind of talk about the units that we can see and the overall positioning. So as you can see, they are positioned in the center of their deployment zone. They've moved forward a fair bit. We now have our cavalry and spearmen in front of them, and they have their royal squadron units up here, as I said before. However, he is positioning his army in a really excellent position to counter my rush build, because we have this massive open field in between where my army should be, which as far as he's concerned I should be deploying like further down the hill, in the center of the map. And then we have this massive opening between where we should be fighting, and then on the right flank and left flank of his formation he has tree cover, so he's really well protected against any kind of outflanking maneuvers, at least for a typical battle. Let's go ahead and pause this just because I don't want these units to go hidden. So we're going to go over the left hand side over here really quickly. We can see some Paltus right here, Galatian thorax swords, royal pikes, some Agrianian axemen in the rear. Getting to the center of their formation, right here we have elite guard pikemen. This is then followed by thorax swordsmen, followed by thorax spearmen, We have the General, which is a late sacred squadron unit. Sorry, Sarissa Lancer, and then another Sarissa Lancer. So pretty uniform in the center. One of the benefits of being able to use lots and lots of money for online battles. While this isn't the most serious online battle, I do encourage you all to at least try and do 40 versus 40 unit battles. It's quite a lot of fun. Allows for a lot more tactics to happen as well. Okay, and that's their center, at least what we can see of it. Then on the right hand side we see some dart slingers here, so I'm assuming there's at least a couple more on either side. This is then followed up by a Royal Pikeman unit, another Royal Pikeman unit, and then a Royal Peltist. Peltist only has 2 javelin shots, so it's not really a proper Peltist with lots of skirmishing potential. He then has 2 more Royal Peltists in the rear. And yeah, we have the Royal Squadron Cav out in front. He has plenty more units that we can't see right now, but as you can see, we are slowly but surely marching our army way up into the forest. Now, I did notice that he could see quite a few of my units. For example, he could see my elephants over here. I believe he can right now even. I did try to keep them downhill in the slope. The forest won't hide elephants, unfortunately, but I was hoping the line of sight of the hills might block it, but obviously that wasn't the case, as we don't have the hidden trait on these elephants. So he could see my elephants at least, so he knows I'm going to be doing some flanking. You'll see his army change position somewhat. I don't think he knows that my full army is there, at least not straight away, because he still has quite a few troops over here. So he must only see some of them. He's going to be doing some scouting, so we have some troops nearby that will be keeping his cavalry away. Our own cav, which is better than his, in my opinion. And I think it's basically statistically. His Royal Squadron units are decent, but not that great. We have our Thurio Spears here as well, ready to support our cavalry. We're going to have a cavalry engagement shortly, though, so let's skip ahead a little bit and get into that. Alright everybody, it's about to kick off. We have the Macedonian right flank charging forward towards our center position. They're also charging with cavalry. We're going to respond by having our cavalry charge out and engage them, and our Thurio Spears are going to come in and get involved as well. A lot of red lines, but a lot of action going on. We'll have this other Thurio Spear unit try to stall the other Macedonians coming in. And then back towards the center of our formation, we have cavalry that is actually going to come all the way down here to reinforce our men who are currently fighting. The Macedonian cavalry isn't bad, but it's definitely no match for our Indian units, so we're going to get them stuck in a long grind out fight. We have 120 men, they only have 100 at maximum in the unit, and they're losing very, very decisively. Our cav would win that fight on its own, but we will be trying to get our Thurio Spear units in when we can. I thought I had ordered them to, but I must have changed my mind with all of these Macedonian units coming in. We are going to lose the spear units, obviously, but the main thing we want to do is deal damage to his cavalry. You can see quite quickly how cavalry is coming in to get involved. The Ivana Asvaka. This is why I try not to even bother pronouncing the Latin names of units. I just read what it says in quotes, but they're coming in and they're almost not needed. Well, they are pretty much, yeah, not needed at all, but anyway. We will definitely use it. You can still see the position of his army, very defensive. He has to be defensive though, he's a pike style army. So it's going to be hard for the Macedonians to be aggressive, especially without their cavalry, which is the entire point of this initial engagement. We want to take that out. Here comes a brutal charge by the Ivana Cav here. Very savage. Straight on into the melee. It gets very chaotic quite quickly, but the Indians will also get a real big advantage very quickly, and yeah, we see the Macedonians start routing. I believe that Cav might come back? I'm not too sure, because we did have to retreat. Unfortunately, his infantry were too close and they had too many javelins, so they were getting a lot of easy free kills against us. We shattered one of the cavalry units, but yeah, this other one is going to survive. 47 men left, but we lost hardly any cavalry really, at least per unit, so overall I'm pretty happy with that exchange. But while that's been happening, it is now time to get our army into rush mode. You'll see on the far right hand side we're also sending cavalry way up and around. It's just to give our elephants some support. They will be staying on our right hand side while we begin this rush, but you can see that they are actually a fair bit further back than, like to say, the front line of our army. It's quite a distance in between, and that's because they're going to have a late swing around the enemy. The entire point of this army is to have our first line of troops that are going to die. These units up here are going to lose. They need to engage as many Macedonian units as possible. That's their only job. They don't even have to win, they just need to engage them. Our cavalry, meanwhile, is forcing the enemy cav back. We have to keep them away in addition to the skirmishers, because all of our troops will get hammered if we get hit by skirmishers. And we are going to have to divert some of our other troops. What's this? Indian heavy swordsmen to try and stop the Macedonian right flank that was sent against us. The enemy cav will harass us, but it's more so important that our troops just keep charging towards the main center. So now that our entire army is out, he sees that we have played our hand. We're going to be giving lots of attack orders. You can see his army still isn't really fully positioned. He's trying to reposition these troops right now, but the rush is beginning. Left-hand flank is charging forward. Our cavalry are charging forward in a bit of a suicidal charge, but it is giving our axemen the cover that they need. Here we come in with the initial charge as well. The right-hand flank of our charge is going to get annihilated. You can see our men really suffering some heavy casualties against the enemy javelins. Like I said, they're not supposed to live though. They just need to begin the engagement. Enemy pikemen coming in as well. Give us a good old charge. We are charging basically naked Indians into a pike wall. What could possibly go wrong? They will fight very bravely though. Excellent troops for their cost. They are very cheap. And overall not good, but they're very effective for their cost. Our cavalry is still hanging around the right hand side, but they will also begin to swing up as needed. The enemy cav has been pushed back thanks to the kind of semi-suicidal charge of these two cavalry units. Speaking of cav though, our right hand flank is now also looping all the way around. He doesn't have the cavalry that can stop us. I mean, he still has some in reserve back here, but because we are rushing in so many different places, his micromanagement is going to be on the reactionary side of things. Whereas for me, because I'm rushing, I'm dictating the pace of the battle, I'm going to have hopefully a bit of an advantage when it comes to, although he does get a charge against us right here, we will circle that unit and deal some serious damage. Our first line basically has already routed, but that's okay because look how out of position his army is, and that's the biggest thing that we want to happen. His cavalry is going to charge us, that's okay. Even if my cav gets charged here, which it will, I don't care. I just want to distract his cavalry because right now our secret weapon is coming for the elephants. Unfortunately, in the DEI current update, elephants are broken in terms of their physical damage that they do. It is nowhere near what it should be because their mass is actually broken. And it's like their mass is not that of what an elephant should be. So it doesn't have the actual literal weight that it should. Regardless though, they're going to have a lot of morale damage, and they still will do some decent damage when they're in melee. So these elephants coming in with their heavy armor, they're just going to absolutely annihilate anything that they touch. The enemy skirmishers do try to change their position to deal with our elephants, but our elephants are heavily armored, and they're just in a massive swarm. So we will charge at them. This isn't a skirmishing point where we have to run our elephants away necessarily. One of our units does get caught, unfortunately, but it will continue charging as needed. We have our second line of troops engaged across the entire front now. All of our Indian and Mauryan heavy swordsmen coming in. Our left-hand flank is also doing the same. The left is going to get hit pretty hard, but we do have the cavalry engagement that will be coming out shortly. He does get a charge us against some of our units, but because we brought in our unit there, it will disrupt it. And it'll do pretty well. Our cavalry is still pretty much better than his across the board as well, so that's going to help out massively. Enemy units are now charging forward with their skirmishers to try and plug gaps in the holes. The center of the Macedonian formation is holding quite well, as you can see, but they're steadily losing their left and right flank support. So we actually already have our elite macemen getting involved in the fighting there. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, our secret weapon is dealing the not so secret damage. Look at this. These elephants are just charging into the skirmishers. Not something you typically hear someone say, because usually you want to keep your elephants away from enemy skirmishers. But we've just come in, we've annihilated the cavalry. It's off running into the distance. There is still some left, such as his general. Our elephants are actually going to be trying to chase him down. You see these attack orders coming out right now, the red lines right there. He will send infantry to try and stop us. So our elephants will like give support to each other, continue trying to chase the general. We'll even have our cavalry come around and try and get him. He's a 200 Royal Squadron unit, so it's definitely no joke. And he has his reserves of infantry back here. I believe these are just, what do you call them, thorax swordsmen? Yep, they are indeed. So it's not ideal. Our elephants will get a charge order against them. Boom, smashes into them. We knocked over a lot of them. We didn't kill really many, but the morale penalties against his army are just massive right now. You can see we've now obliterated the majority of his left-hand flank. The center of his line is still holding very steadily, but look at this. Look at these elephants coming in so hard. They're about to destroy either his general or the line. So the general is still really trying to run away. He's trying to make it out. We're about to catch him. Oh, it's getting close. Oh, we get one or two horses. He's still running. It is a skirmisher unit too, somewhat, so they will deal some damage against our elephants. We'll continue chasing them. We've picked off a few of them. But the real thing that our elephants are doing is destroying his army as well. Look at that charge. These elephants just annihilated massive portions of the enemy main line. We are starting to have some of our elite guildsmen retreat. They have been fighting elite pikemen from the front, so it's expected. But we have more troops coming in, reinforcements. We also have a massive portion of our right-hand flank now free, so our troops will begin splitting off and helping out our center. But with these elephants, man, they're just dealing such serious morale damage. And he hasn't been able to target them all that efficiently either. He's getting some good cavalry charges right there coming in to stop our elephants, but the elephants are not going to be stopped. We try to retreat our cavalry units, get them out of the enemy's line of fire. But unfortunately for him as well, his general has been caught by one of our elephant units. It's now down to 179 men out of 200 for that unit. The general is still alive, I believe, but he should hopefully go soon. We were chasing him for a very long time though. But like, look at all these units with a white banner across them. They're all Macedonian. Macedonians could not handle that elephant rush. I mean, even without the elephant rush, I think we still would have won. Or at least done really well, because our cavalry was better. I mean, obviously we wouldn't have routed so many men so easily, but I think there's a really good chance we would have done well. Just because our men were a lot more mobile, we could outflank his pikemen quite easily with our macemen if needed. I didn't need to do it in this fight, because I knew I had the elephants and they were going to deal morale damage. But if I was going to fight this battle without the elephants, or even just one unit of elephants, I would have kept the macemen in the rear a little bit more, for a little bit longer. Maybe try to find a better front line, but I knew that I wanted to do a little bit of an Indian elephant-focused army where we're rushing the enemy. Now you can see his general is trying to retreat. They will rout soon, hopefully. Our men are chasing him down, but he's running towards some scary territory for him. Our general is right here as well. What do I do with the general? I don't remember if I try to hide him or what. Because he should try to charge us. Oh no, he's going to rout, is he? Nope. Oh no, I retreated our general. It is only 100 men in the unit, not the best cav unit. So we are going to try and slow him down with some infantry. Some of our elephants are trying to chase him, but the rest of our elephants are kind of just running out of attack orders because so much of the enemy army is now on the brink of routing or is being decimated. And you can see though the battle is pretty much swung in our direction. He does have troops that come back from routing. I wasn't very good with my micro in terms of stopping his men from returning. Get a nice charge with our general right there. He is getting involved at least to some extent. I'll slow them down. However, he does have spearmen nearby. So we will send in some infantry to try to stop them. One of our elite macemen units. There are the pikemen in action. They are out of pike formation though, so they won't charge with a pike in hand. Our macemen will do very, very well under charge. Oh my goodness, that gentleman just got decapitated. That is crazy, mate. Oh my goodness. These macemen are lethal. Is that the general routing? It looks like it. Yes, the general is now shattered off the battlefield and he's dead at this point. The Macedonians are done, ladies and gentlemen. The armies of Alexander did not stop because of a mutiny. Or near mutiny. They stopped because the wrath of India was brought upon them. Our elephants, our elite macemen with their extremely savage maces just did massive amounts of damage. Like, look at all these bodies, dude. There was a lot of fighting. We lost a lot of our elephants too, so I did get lazy towards the end with our elephants for sure, but we still have at least one unit that's almost full, or is it full? No, it's just almost full. And then another unit over here. That's about half strength, a little bit more. So our elephants did end up taking some damage as they should, but by this point we just have a few of the more elite, higher class Macedonian units left, but here comes the final charge from our units, including our general. Get a rear charge against the elite pikes, and they can't handle it. Macedon is defeated. Alexander is crushed. Alexander, the not so great, is defeated. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you guys enjoyed seeing that rush build. I know the money threw the balance off a little bit, but I mean, Macedon is still a great faction. There's a lot of different units that they could bring against us, and they did. It's just we were able to destroy his cavalry early on, and that really allowed our elephants to get involved. I will show the statistics screen very quickly, and then we'll end the battle. Okay, everybody, here are the stats. If you want to have a look, feel free. I'll just quickly discuss it. You can see that we had actually an equal number of cavalry, of course, not including our elephants. If you do include our elephants, we had 3 more units. But yeah, we had 7 units of cav, including our general, as did he. But you can see the pretty big disparity in our cav versus his. He has a couple units that did really not much at all. And then the majority of them got less than 100 kills. In fact, he only had 1 cav unit that had over 100 kills. None of them really did any big major routes either. Our cavalry, while we didn't get many kills with them necessarily, our cav still ended up defeating his cav, which is quite important. And it just held up a lot of his units as well. And then if we look at our cav and then look at our elephants, that's where the kills come in. Our cavalry did really good to support our elephants, in addition to some of our Indian heavy swordsmen, although we're going to see a lot of mixed stats regarding our infantry units, mainly because the battlefield was such a mess. So for our heavy swordsmen, such as along here, you're going to see some really low tier kills like 12, 45, 36, pretty bad. But then we're going to see 397 kills, which is incredible. So that's really, really good. The other units as well, like the other swordsmen, did okay. The initial push with our axemen did quite bad, but they weren't expected to get any kills. They just had to make contact with the enemy line, cover our full advance, do what damage they could, and a couple of them did okay. 61 kills against Macedonians is no small feat. None of the Macedonian units were trash either. They were all very good, a lot of them being elite. So props to those units. The macemen came in, some of them did amazing, 300 plus kills, 400 plus kills, but then some of them got trashed, 28 kills. Same story for our guildsmen as well. Almost all of them got triple digits though, so our guildsmen really came in big with a lot of kills. Through spears, didn't really help too much, but they did offer protection for our cavalry. So even though our cav didn't have the highest amount of kills, I think they had the biggest impact because they could defeat the enemy cav in a one-on-one engagement. On his left and on our right, we had our elephants come in, which wrapped up the cow fight even faster. But yeah, without the elephants, I still feel like we at least would have been very close in winning this battle. I mean, always as India, you're almost always going to bring in at least one unit of elephants. So even just one unit of elephants would have been enough to tip the flank in our favor a lot faster as well. Get that morale damage against the enemy. But anyway, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this unorthodox style of fighting where we have 40 versus 40. I do have one other battle that I'm trying to show to you guys. Unfortunately, it has been crashing when I record it, so it's quite frustrating. But I'll see what I can do in trying to get it out to you guys. But anyway, please feel free to send me battle replays. Carthage episode is on the way. I have had quite a few delays and things happening in my real life in the last couple of weeks, so things have been quite slow on YouTube, so I do apologize for that. I do appreciate all of your support, but real life just gets in the way more often than I would like, so I do apologize. And thank you all for your patience. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.